Welcome to Part 2 of Teleseminar Basics, reaching out to people all over the world with the use of a teleseminar. A telephone is all the equipment that is needed for you to get started planning your teleseminar. Standard conference calling, an optional feature, allows no more than 3 people to converse at the same time. With teleseminar services, many people can share the telephone call at the same time. This is done using a device called a bridge, which is a piece of telecommunications hardware that routes many callers into the same connection by providing a separate port for each incoming call. Each of these ports typically gives each individual caller a link into the phone call, 1 port per caller. In other words, if you have 10 ports, 10 callers would be able to access the call at the same time. With 20 ports, 20 callers, and so on. Before deciding on a teleconference or teleseminar company, you must determine your needs since different companies have different capabilities. A bridge can handle 12, 24, 240, and even more callers at the same time. Of course, the more bridges you require, the more expensive the service is going to be. Some companies even have the ability to link bridges together to create enough ports for thousands of callers to participate in the same call. Before you make the final decision regarding how many bridges you are going to need, you want to have a general idea of how many participants there will be. This is where your marketing plan comes into play, because once you have sent out your invitations, you're going to need to prepare your list of participants based on those who confirm attendance. It would also be a good idea to contact those people a couple of days in advance to be certain they are still planning to join the call. Once you know how many people are going to attend, it's time to contact the teleseminar provider if you haven't already done so. By this time, if you haven't made prior arrangements with the provider, you should have at least made a decision on a provider. When you contact the teleconference service provider to set up the teleseminar, they usually assign a telephone number for all the participants to use. They will also typically give you 2 pins to use, a host pin and a participant pin. In some cases, there will only be 1 pin, but the host identifies himself by pressing an extra key in addition to the pin. The use of the participant pin with the access telephone number is what allows your customers to join the teleseminar and can be done automatically or through an operator. So what are some of the important features of a good teleconferencing system? The system software architecture should never be a bottleneck for scalability. You want a system that will support the number of callers you expect to get, plus some extra. If your marketing efforts are wildly successful and you have double the number of attendees as you expect, you want a teleconferencing system that can handle the additional load. In addition, if you are doing a mixed delivery teleseminar, one with visual or software components, be sure the teleconferencing service you select can handle those components easily and efficiently. If you have any special requirements like wanting text messages to be sent to your customers' cell phones or emails to be sent during the teleseminar, make sure the service has the capabilities that you need. Since teleconferencing systems are not used every day by the same user, they must have very low learning curves. Since the calls take place in real time, there is not time for a user to look through a manual or call customer support for assistance. Connecting to your teleseminar should be simple and intuitive, or your customers may become discouraged and decide not to bother. The system must be capable of distributing real-time conferencing elements to the clients without noticeable delays. The real-time elements consist of audio, whiteboards, and slides. Since the system will be dealing with confidential business information, it must be secure. So how is the teleseminar conducted? When the teleseminar is arranged, certain capabilities are afforded to the host and are explained below. Muting. This feature allows the participants to listen only and not participate. The reason you may want to do this is to control the noise on the call when there are many people involved in the call. The first mode is conversation mode. There is no muting and everyone can hear everyone. The second mode is question and answer mode. How this mode is operated depends on your system. You may be able to allow certain people to ask questions or toggle your mute on and off while a question is being asked or answered. The third is presentation mode. Everyone is muted except the host and anyone using the host code. Another available option is to allow the participants to hit a designated key to mute themselves. This allows the host to ask everyone but selected participants to mute their calls in order to minimize background noise. There are drawbacks to using this feature, however, such that it doesn't always work, especially with cell phones. The participants think they are muted when, in fact, everyone can hear them, which can be disruptive to the rest of the participant. Another feature is locking the conference. This feature allows the host to block out any additional callers, either when a certain number of callers has been reached or at a certain time after the start of the call. This feature is usually accessed by pressing a certain number on the keypad. Contact the conference operator. This feature is helpful for checking on the number of participants or asking for help or information. It's important to use this feature with care because sometimes when callers cannot hear you, they think you have been disconnected and leave. To avoid the possibility of this happening, let the participants know that you will be contacting the operator and, if possible, appoint a co-host or one of the participants to moderate the call in your absence. Host callers only. This feature allows interaction between only those people who have the host codes. As with the contact operator feature, be sure that your callers are not left stranded thinking that they have been disconnected from the call. Entry and exit chimes. This is a nice feature to have since it allows the host to know when someone enters the call. He can then greet the newcomer and ask them to give a quick introduction, at least in smaller groups. It is also helpful for identifying late arrivals or those leaving the conversation. If you are on a call with a large group, however, it might be better to disable this feature as it can become very disruptive when many people are joining and leaving the call. Number of participants. This feature is used to determine how many people are on a call at any given time. When you are expecting a certain number of people and want to wait until they arrive to begin your presentation, this feature is very helpful. It is also useful for showing you how many join the call later and how many leave before the end of the presentation. Knowing how many people leave early can help you determine if your presentation is too long or if the presentation itself is lacking something to keep them interested. Knowing this information will assist you in making necessary changes before you schedule your next teleseminar. Reservationless service. This type of service allows you to make calls with a specified maximum number of participants. This plan can be billed on a flat rate or per minute basis, though in most cases the flat rate is the most common and affordable option. Another way to save money is to find a plan that allows unlimited calling during a certain specified period of time, much like some of the long-distance service providers offer with their basic pricing plans. Music awaiting chair. With this feature, participants hear music until the host arrives. A better way to handle this is to get on the call early and be there to greet the participants as they arrive. Taking this extra step will allow you to get a feel for your audience. Direct entry or PIN code. Using PIN codes provides security as well as allowing you to distinguish the host from the participants. Though there are other ways to make this distinction, such as separate phone numbers for hosts and participants, the direct dial-in method is simpler and gives the participants less information to remember. Entry announcements. Not a standard feature with most providers, this feature automatically announces a caller by name when they enter the call. Fax and email confirmation. This service sends a confirmation email or fax for every call that is scheduled. If your provider does not offer this service, it is a good idea to ask them to provide you with some form of confirmation. When you have an important teleseminar scheduled, you should call the provider at least 1 hour in advance to make sure that you are confirmed and that any special features and services required are enabled. Doing this will avoid any delays once the teleseminar begins. Operator-assisted calls. An operator is assigned to your call and greets participants when they call in. Operator-assisted calls must be scheduled and usually cost 3 to 5 cents more per minute basis and often have a cancellation fee. These calls are usually used for high-end teleseminars when it is necessary to collect information from participants when they call in or when help is needed managing call activities, such as getting other speakers and co-hosts on the line. By using this assistance, It allows you to concentrate on your presentation and your participants. Some of the services you can ask the call operator to provide are: offer a live introduction, collect the names and contact information of participants, read an introductory message or greeting, conduct some quick survey questions when the participants call in, provide instructions to participants when they call in. With permission, access the call against a list of names provided. Coordinate a pre-conference between the moderators independent from the main conference until they are ready to join with operator assistance. Set up a list of questions for a poll or survey. Record the call for the host. Assist with subconferencing, which allows the operator to help you split your callers. In some cases, a teleconference provider will allow you reservation-less services while also giving you access to an operator. You need to call into the service just prior to or at the very beginning of the call to request assistance. There is usually a charge for this additional service, and you may be charged a flat monthly fee in order for you to be assured access to an operator when one is needed. Basic service usually works well, but there are certain situations where operator assistance might be needed or desired, such as the call has a large number of participants. Basic service usually works well, but there are certain situations where operator assistance might be needed or desired, such as the call has a large number of participants. The call is of high importance, such as an event where participants have paid a lot of money to attend, or the call includes participants you feel the need to impress. You need to collect certain data from the participants, such as contact information. Assigning an operator to do this frees you to attend to the participants who have already checked in. Or perhaps a message or instructions need to be given to participants as they call in while you attend to other related duties. Or there is a complex call involving multiple speakers, hosts, or activities. Maybe you feel the need to conduct a poll. Or you want to have an orderly Q&A session, but you have a large number of participants. This concludes Part 2 of the 4-part series entitled Teleseminar Basics, a beginner's guide to cashing in on teleseminars. Thank you for listening. For more teleseminar resources, such as sample seminar forms and useful links, visit us on the web at www.teleseminar-basics.com/download. That's www.teleseminar-basics.com/download.